Imagine, if you will, the world a mere quarter century from now. The year is 2050. What do we see? Do we picture bustling cities powered by clean energy, vibrant forests teeming with life, and oceans clear and abundant? Or does a harsher vision emerge, one of scarred landscapes, extreme weather, and a planet struggling to support its inhabitants? This is not a fanciful exercise in fortune-telling. It is a critical question, the answer to which is being written by our actions or inactions today. The fate of our remarkable world, this precious blue sphere, hangs precariously in the balance, poised on the decisions we make in this crucial window of time. Our children and their children will inherit the Earth we shape. The year 2050 looms large in the discourse of scientists, policymakers, and indeed all thinking people. It is not some arbitrary date plucked from the ether. It represents a threshold, a point by which many of the environmental trends we currently observe will have reached critical, potentially irreversible junctures. Experts from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, use this timeframe to project the consequences of rising global temperatures. Conservationists warn that biodiversity loss could reach catastrophic levels by mid-century if unchecked. The challenges are immense, multifaceted, and interconnected, painting a complex picture of a future that demands our urgent attention and concerted effort. It is a future we must confront with open eyes. Scientists, with their meticulous research and sophisticated models, paint various scenarios for our planet in 2050. Some of these scenarios are undeniably bleak, depicting a world grappling with widespread water shortages, diminished agricultural yields, displaced populations, and ecosystems struggling to survive. They speak of feedback loops, where initial warming triggers further changes, accelerating the crisis. Yet, amidst these dire warnings, other scenarios offer a sliver of hope. These pathways envision a world where humanity has risen to the challenge, transitioning to sustainable practices, restoring natural habitats, and fostering a deeper respect for the delicate systems that sustain all life. This choice of futures is still, largely, within our grasp. It is vital to understand that these projections are not prophecies etched in stone. They are not inevitable destinies. Rather, they are scientific assessments based on current trends and the likely outcomes of different courses of action. The Earth of 2050 will be a direct consequence of the choices we collectively make in the years leading up to it. Will we continue on a path of unsustainable consumption and environmental degradation, or will we choose a new direction, one of stewardship, innovation, and global cooperation? The power to shape that future, to steer our planet towards health and resilience, rests firmly in our hands, right here, right now, in this present moment. Our planet, this beautiful home we all share, is exhibiting symptoms of a profound illness. It has a fever, and that fever is rising. This is what we call climate change, a term that encompasses a host of alterations to our global weather patterns and temperatures driven primarily by human activities. For decades, scientists have meticulously gathered evidence, from ice cores in Antarctica to direct atmospheric measurements, all pointing to an undeniable warming trend. The Earth's climate has, of course, changed naturally over geological timescales, but the speed and magnitude of the current changes are unprecedented in human history, presenting a challenge unlike any we have faced before. It is a global phenomenon, affecting every continent, every ocean. The primary cause of this planetary fever is now unequivocally clear. It is the dramatic increase in greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, most notably carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. These gases, released in vast quantities from the burning of fossil fuels for energy, industrial processes, deforestation, and intensive agriculture, act like a blanket around the Earth. They trap heat from the sun, preventing it from radiating back into space, leading to a gradual but persistent warming of the land, oceans, and air. This greenhouse effect is essential for life on Earth in its natural state, but our emissions have dangerously amplified it, upsetting a delicate balance that has existed for millennia. The signs of this warming are all around us, for those willing to see. We observe the majestic glaciers, ancient rivers of ice, retreating at an alarming pace, diminishing vital freshwater sources for millions. We witness the polar ice caps shrinking, contributing to rising sea levels. Extreme weather events, more intense hurricanes, prolonged droughts, devastating floods, and scorching heat waves are becoming increasingly frequent and severe, wreaking havoc on communities and ecosystems. The subtle and not-so-subtle shifts in seasons, the changes in plant flowering times, and animal migration patterns all whisper the same urgent message. Our world is changing, and changing fast. Respected scientific bodies, such as the IPCC, which synthesizes the work of thousands of climate scientists worldwide, have issued stark warnings. They state that global warming is widespread, rapid, and intensifying. Their reports detail the far-reaching impacts that are already being felt and project even more severe consequences if significant and immediate action is not taken to reduce emissions. Experts like Professor Sir Brian Hoskins from the Grantham Institute for Climate Change have emphasized that the evidence is overwhelming. The window of opportunity to limit warming to relatively safe levels, such as the 1.5 degrees Celsius target of the Paris Agreement, is rapidly closing, demanding an unprecedented global response. Beyond the overarching challenge of climate change, our planet grapples with another insidious enemy: pollution. It is a multifaceted scourge, contaminating the very elements essential for life: the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the soil that nourishes us. Unlike the grand, visible shifts of climate, pollution often works more subtly, accumulating in ecosystems and organisms, its effects sometimes taking years or even decades to become fully apparent. Yet its impact is no less devastating, affecting human health, degrading natural environments, and threatening the delicate balance of life on Earth. It is a global issue respecting no borders, with pollutants traveling vast distances on wind and water currents. One of the most visible and distressing forms of pollution is the plastic waste that now chokes our oceans and waterways. Each year, millions of tons of plastic, from single-use packaging to discarded fishing gear, find their way into the marine environment. This plastic does not simply disappear, it breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces, known as microplastics, which are ingested by marine life, from the smallest plankton to the largest whales. These plastics can cause physical harm, block digestive tracts, and leach harmful chemicals. Disturbingly, these microplastics are now entering the human food chain, with consequences for our health that we are only just beginning to understand. Chemical pollution stemming from industrial discharges, agricultural runoff, and improper waste disposal presents another grave threat. Pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, and persistent organic pollutants can contaminate soil and water sources, poisoning ecosystems from the ground up. These substances can bioaccumulate in food webs, meaning their concentrations increase as they move up the chain, posing significant risks to top predators, including humans. The health impacts can be severe, ranging from developmental problems and endocrine disruption to various forms of cancer. Entire aquatic ecosystems can be devastated by nutrient pollution from fertilizers, leading to algal blooms and dead zones devoid of oxygen. Furthermore, air pollution remains a silent killer in many parts of the world, particularly in burgeoning urban centers. The burning of fossil fuels in vehicles, power plants, and factories, as well as practices like burning agricultural waste, releases a cocktail of harmful pollutants into the atmosphere. These include particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxide, and ozone, which can cause respiratory diseases, cardiovascular problems, and reduce life expectancy. The World Health Organization estimates that millions of premature deaths occur each year due to exposure to ambient air pollution. This invisible threat diminishes quality of life and places an enormous burden on healthcare systems globally. The great forests of our world, Earth's verdant lungs, are disappearing at a truly alarming rate. These magnificent ecosystems, which have stood for millennia, are being cleared for agriculture, vast plantations of palm oil, soy, and cattle ranches, as well as for timber, mining operations, and urban expansion. From the Amazon rainforest, the planet's largest tropical forest, to the ancient woodlands of Southeast Asia and Central Africa, the chainsaw and the bulldozer are relentlessly redrawing the map of our world. This destruction is not just a loss of trees, it is the unraveling of complex, life-sustaining systems that provide invaluable services to our planet and to humanity. The scale of this loss is staggering. It is estimated that every single minute, an area of forest equivalent to several football pitches is destroyed or severely degraded. Think of that for a moment. The sheer speed and relentless nature of this destruction. Since 1990, it is believed that we have lost hundreds of millions of hectares of forest. This is not merely a statistic. It represents a profound assault on the natural world. When these forests fall, they often fall silently, far from the eyes of many. But their absence is felt globally, creating deep and lasting scars on the face of our Earth. scars that may take centuries, if ever, to heal. The consequences of such widespread deforestation are manifold and severe. Forests play a crucial role in regulating the Earth's climate by absorbing vast quantities of carbon dioxide, a primary greenhouse gas from the atmosphere. When forests are cleared and burned, this stored carbon is released back into the air, further accelerating climate change. Deforestation also leads to significant soil erosion, as the protective tree cover is removed, allowing valuable topsoil to be washed away by rain, degrading land and polluting waterways. Furthermore, forests are vital for maintaining hydrological cycles, influencing rainfall patterns locally and even regionally. Their loss can lead to increased risk of droughts and floods. Beyond these critical environmental services, the destruction of forests leads to an immense loss of biodiversity. These habitats are home to an estimated 80% of the world's terrestrial species, many of which are uniquely adapted to their forest environments and cannot survive elsewhere. As their homes vanish, so too do these creatures and plants, contributing to the silent extinction crisis unfolding across our planet. Moreover, deforestation often displaces indigenous communities whose cultures, livelihoods, and traditional knowledge are intrinsically linked to the forests. The loss of these ancient woodlands is a loss for all humanity, a severing of our connection to the natural world. As our planet continues to warm due to the accumulation of greenhouse gases, one of the most tangible and concerning consequences is the steady rise in global sea levels. This phenomenon is driven by two primary factors directly linked to climate change. Firstly, there is thermal expansion. As ocean water warms, it expands, occupying more volume. Secondly, and increasingly significantly, is the melting of land-based ice. The vast glaciers that adorn mountain ranges and the colossal ice sheets covering Greenland and Antarctica. This meltwater, once locked away as solid ice, flows into the oceans, incrementally but relentlessly adding to their total volume. We are witnessing this process unfold before our very eyes. Satellites and tidal gauges provide irrefutable evidence that global average sea levels have been rising over the past century, and the rate of this rise has accelerated in recent decades. Glaciers, from the Himalayas to the Andes, are visibly retreating, their icy tongues shrinking year by year. The Greenland ice sheet, which holds enough ice to raise global sea levels by several meters, is losing mass at an alarming rate. Similarly, parts of the Antarctic ice sheet, particularly in West Antarctica, are showing signs of instability, causing grave concern among scientists about the potential for much more rapid sea level rise in the future. The implications of rising sea levels are particularly dire for the hundreds of millions of people living in low-lying coastal communities around the world. Small island nations, such as the Maldives, Tuvalu, and Kiribati, face an existential threat, as their very territories risk being submerged within this century. But the danger is not confined to these vulnerable islands. Major coastal cities, from New York to Shanghai, from London to Lagos, are also increasingly at risk from permanent inundation, more frequent and severe coastal flooding during storms, and saltwater intrusion into freshwater aquifers, which are vital for drinking water and agriculture. Even a seemingly small increase in average sea level can have dramatic effects. Higher sea levels mean that storm surges driven by hurricanes and cyclones can penetrate further inland, causing greater devastation and displacing more people. Coastal erosion will intensify, gradually eating away at shorelines and undermining infrastructure. Valuable coastal ecosystems, such as mangroves and salt marshes, which provide natural flood defenses and critical habitats for wildlife, are also threatened by the encroaching tides. The displacement of people due to rising seas, creating climate refugees, is already beginning and is projected to become a far more significant humanitarian challenge in the decades to come. Our human family has experienced extraordinary growth over the past century. Today, in 2025, we number over 8 billion individuals sharing this one precious planet. Projections suggest that the global population could reach close to 10 billion people by the year 2050. This remarkable increase in human numbers, a testament in many ways to advances in medicine, sanitation, and food production, also places unprecedented pressure on the Earth's finite resources and natural systems. The metaphor of an ark is apt. Our planet has a limited carrying capacity, and as our numbers grow, the space and resources available for each individual and for all other species inevitably diminish. More people inherently mean a greater demand for the essentials of life: food, fresh water, energy, shelter, and raw materials. To feed a growing population, agricultural systems must become more intensive. often leading to increased deforestation, soil degradation, and water consumption. The demand for fresh water, already a scarce resource in many parts of the world, is escalating, leading to competition and conflict. Our energy needs continue to climb, and while the transition to renewables is underway, fossil fuels still dominate the global energy mix, exacerbating climate change. The pursuit of minerals, metals, and other raw materials drives mining and extraction activities, often with significant environmental consequences. It is crucial to recognize that many of the Earth's natural resources are finite. Fossil fuels, once formed over millions of years, are being consumed at a rate far exceeding their natural replenishment. Certain minerals, essential for modern technology, are becoming scarcer and more difficult to extract. Aquifers, underground reservoirs of fresh water, are being depleted in many agricultural regions faster than they can be recharged by rainfall. The health of our soils, the very foundation of our food security, is being compromised by unsustainable farming practices. This continuous drawdown on Earth's natural capital cannot continue indefinitely without severe repercussions for future generations. The question we must confront is whether our planet can sustainably support this growing human population, particularly if current patterns of consumption, especially in wealthier nations, persist or are adopted more widely. The strain is already evident in many regions, manifesting as water scarcity, food insecurity, resource conflicts, and environmental degradation. Addressing this challenge requires a multifaceted approach, encompassing not only responsible family planning and empowerment through education, but also a fundamental shift towards more sustainable consumption patterns, greater resource efficiency, and the development of a circular economy where waste is minimized and resources are reused and recycled. We are privileged to share this planet with an extraordinary array of life forms, a rich and vibrant tapestry of species that collectively constitute Earth's biodiversity. From the smallest microbe to the largest whale, each organism plays a role in the intricate web of life, contributing to the health and resilience of ecosystems. This biodiversity is not merely a beautiful spectacle, it is the foundation of the ecological services upon which human civilization depends: clean air and water, pollination of crops, soil fertility, and climate regulation. Yet, this precious biological heritage is currently under unprecedented threat, facing what many scientists now term the Earth's sixth mass extinction event. Unlike previous mass extinctions, which were driven by natural catastrophes like asteroid impacts or massive volcanic eruptions, the current crisis is overwhelmingly caused by human activities. Species are disappearing at a rate estimated to be hundreds, perhaps even thousands of times faster than the natural background extinction rate. The primary drivers of this loss are well understood: habitat destruction and fragmentation, principally through deforestation, agricultural expansion, and urbanization, rob species of their homes. Climate change is altering environments too rapidly for many species to adapt or migrate. Pollution contaminates ecosystems, while overexploitation, such as overfishing and poaching, decimates populations. The spread of invasive species also disrupts native ecological communities. The consequences of this silent extinction are profound and far-reaching. Each time a species vanishes, a unique strand in the web of life is broken, diminishing the overall resilience and stability of the ecosystem. The loss of pollinators, such as bees and butterflies, threatens food production for billions of people. The decline of predator species can lead to imbalances in prey populations, with cascading effects throughout the food web. The degradation of coral reefs, biodiversity hotspots in the oceans, jeopardizes coastal protection and fisheries. This erosion of biodiversity not only impoverishes our planet aesthetically and spiritually, but also directly undermines our own well-being and economic prosperity. Experts from organizations like IPBES have issued stark warnings, highlighting that nature is declining globally at rates unprecedented in human history. They emphasize that the direct and indirect contributions of nature are vital for human existence and good quality of life. The intricate connections within ecosystems mean that the loss of even seemingly insignificant species can have unforeseen and detrimental consequences. Protecting and restoring biodiversity is not merely an act of conservation, it is an act of self-preservation, essential for ensuring a healthy and sustainable future for all. Let us pause for a moment amidst these sobering realities and reflect upon the situation we find ourselves in. The challenges we have explored: Climate change, pollution, deforestation, rising sea levels, overpopulation, resource depletion, and biodiversity loss are not isolated problems. They are deeply interconnected, often exacerbating one another in a complex and dangerous dance. For instance, deforestation not only reduces biodiversity, but also contributes to climate change by releasing stored carbon and diminishing the planet's capacity to absorb greenhouse gases. Climate change, in turn, can worsen droughts, leading to further pressure on forests and agricultural land, creating vicious feedback loops. The root causes of these multifaceted environmental crises often lie embedded within our prevailing human systems. Our dominant economic models have, for too long, prioritized short-term growth and profit over long-term ecological sustainability, often failing to account for the true value of nature's services or the costs of environmental degradation. Our patterns of consumption, particularly in more affluent societies, have fostered a throwaway culture that generates vast amounts of waste and places an unsustainable demand on the planet's resources. Our relationship with the natural world has, in many instances, become one of exploitation rather than stewardship, viewing nature primarily as a collection of resources to be used rather than a living system of which we are an integral part. For a significant period of our history, particularly since the Industrial Revolution, humanity has operated under the implicit assumption that the Earth's resources were effectively limitless and its capacity to absorb our waste infinite. This was perhaps understandable when human populations were smaller and our technological impact less profound. However, the sheer scale of human activity in the 21st century has fundamentally altered this equation. We are now a dominant geological force, shaping the planet's systems in ways that are often detrimental to its long-term health and ultimately to our own prospects for a stable and prosperous future. This realization calls for a profound shift in our collective consciousness. The Earth, through these myriad environmental challenges, is sending us clear and unambiguous signals, warnings that we ignore at our peril. The increasing frequency of extreme weather events, the tangible loss of species, the measurable changes in our atmosphere and oceans. These are not abstract scientific concerns. They are the planet's response to the pressures we are exerting. We must learn to listen more attentively to these signals, to understand the profound and intricate ways in which our actions impact the Earth's systems. This understanding is the essential first step towards taking responsibility and forging a more sustainable and harmonious path forward. The picture painted of our planet's potential trajectory towards 2050 can indeed appear daunting, even overwhelming. It is natural to feel a sense of concern, perhaps even anxiety, when confronted with the scale of the environmental challenges before us. However, despair is a luxury we cannot afford, for it paralyzes action and extinguishes the very ingenuity that has defined so much of human progress. Instead, we must choose to embrace hope, not a passive wishful thinking, but an active, determined hope, grounded in the knowledge that change is possible and that a better future is within our reach if we choose to strive for it. Humanity possesses an extraordinary capacity for innovation, problem-solving, and adaptation. We have the scientific knowledge to understand the intricate workings of our planet and the impacts of our activities. We are developing and deploying remarkable technologies, from renewable energy sources like solar and wind power to advancements in sustainable agriculture and waste management. The global awareness of environmental issues is higher than it has ever been, with a growing chorus of voices, particularly among young people, demanding urgent and meaningful action. This combination of knowledge, technological capability, and burgeoning public will forms a powerful foundation upon which to build a sustainable future. Forging this sustainable future requires a truly collective effort, a global partnership that transcends borders, political divides, and economic interests. Governments must enact bold policies that incentivize sustainable practices, invest in green infrastructure, and protect natural capital. Industries and businesses have a crucial role to play in transforming their operations, embracing circular economy principles, and developing innovative solutions. Communities must be empowered to take local action, restoring ecosystems and adopting sustainable lifestyles. And as individuals, each of us has the power to make conscious choices in our daily lives, how we consume, how we travel, how we use energy, that collectively contribute to a larger positive impact. The path ahead involves a fundamental shift in our values and priorities. We must learn to cherish and protect the natural world, not just for its resources, but for its intrinsic worth, recognizing that our well-being is inextricably linked to the health of the planet. This means investing in the restoration of degraded ecosystems, protecting biodiversity with renewed vigor, transitioning rapidly to a low-carbon economy, and fostering a global culture of sustainability and respect for all life. It requires courage, commitment, and a shared vision of a world where both humanity and nature can thrive together in balance and harmony. Earth doesn't have to die. We still have time, if we choose to act.